இதயம் காட்டன் வழங்கும் ஆதி மனிதன் ஞாயிறுதோறும் உங்கள் சாணக்கியாவில் காணத் தவறாதீர்கள்.
Honorable Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji, Honorable Union Minister of State for Dairy, Fisheries, Animal Husbandry, Information and Broadcasting, Dr. L. Murugan, Honorable Minister for MSME, Rural, Cottage and Small Scale Industry, Government of Tamil Nadu, Thiru T.M. Anbarasanji, our very special guest, Dr. Sara, senior officers from the Government of India and State Government of Tamil Nadu, our esteemed guests from the exporter fraternity, from the industry, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, Vanakkam, good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you very much everyone for joining us today for this very important initiative of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the Stakeholders Outreach Program on the recently concluded India-UAE FTA, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, and the India-Australia ECTA. Ladies and gentlemen, under the grand vision of the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, with the support and blessings of our Honorable Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji, who is here as Chief Guest today to address us all and encourage our exporter community and our industry, and each one of us, and with the dedicated and passionate leadership of Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister of India Shri Piyush Goyal ji, we see the conclusion of these two very important FTAs, the India-UAE CPA and the India-Australia ECTA. And we at the ministry are making all efforts to reach out to all our stakeholders across the country, because we want you to understand the nuts and bolts of this agreement, to understand the scope of this agreement, to be able to understand the opportunities that lie ahead for you and be able to benefit from it. I was very happy to hear Mr. Sarangi say that a great deal of optimism could be seen amongst you all during the course of the panel discussions. So I would say well begun is half done. This is exactly why we are here today amongst you all. We want you to leverage this conducive platform which has been created with the conclusion of these two bilateral agreements and be able to make use of this opportunity in the best possible way. Ladies and gentlemen, you've all been the witness to India's trade and commerce journey. And today you would not disagree with me if I say that we are creating history in this journey. Every day there is a significant milestone that we are achieving. India's trade and commerce is passing through a watershed moment. Our exports are today at a record high. 675 billion is not a mean achievement at all. Merchandise exports target, which was set at $400 billion, has been surpassed, and we stand today at $419 billion. Similarly, the services export have been to the tune of $254.4 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, these achievements make us even more ambitious, and we want you to achieve more and more and contribute to India's economy. Exports are very vital for the growth of our economy, and you can see that the government led by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji places a strong emphasis on export promotion. And it is a proud moment for us that despite all COVID challenges and the horrible ways in which the global supply chains were disrupted, India was still able to fulfill all its export obligations, and which is why we as a nation have emerged as a very trusted partner, as a very trusted nation insofar as the global supply chains are concerned. And today, the effort of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry is to promote our exports, particularly after the conclusion of these two very important bilateral agreements, the CEPA and the ECTA, that we promote our exports, we increase the competitiveness of our industry, and we are able to achieve a more profound integration with the global supply chains. Ladies and gentlemen, you would all agree with me if we say that Government of India concluded one of the fastest agreements in the form of the India-UAE CAPA. This is the fastest ever agreement which has been concluded globally between any two countries, because we made it possible in just 88 days. It's a full and deep agreement. It's a very comprehensive agreement which covers all aspects of the bilateral trade. And India and UAE, you've seen the presentation also. So many of you have been exporting to the UAE. You know that we are the top trading partners. UAE is the third largest trading partner for India, and India is the second largest trading partner of the UAE. UAE is also the largest Arab investor, which is investing close to $18 billion in India. And recently, we've entered into an MOU wherein UAE has committed to invest close to $75 billion towards infrastructure development in India. There are several benefits which will flow out of this comprehensive economic partnership agreement which has been concluded between the two countries. We all understand that after the conclusion, and this CEPA has even come into effect, you know, the first shipment, the first consignment of jewelry products has already been flagged off to the UAE on 1st of May this year. So we've already operationalized this agreement. And this is not just opening market access for our exporter community to the UAE, but also to the Arab and the other African countries. So there is a huge scope, and there is so much of employment opportunity which will be generated. Close to 1 million new jobs are expected to be created after the conclusion of this CEPA. It is going to benefit the 35% of the UAE's population of Indians who reside there. So in a way, it will lead to a growth in the remittances back to India. And insofar as the size of our bilateral trade is concerned, which stands at $60 billion today, it is expected to grow to the tune of $100 billion for merchandise and $15 billion for services in the next 5 years, which will be almost double the pre-pandemic levels. And UAE's immediate zero duty market access offer to India will cover most of our labor intensive sectors, which is the good news. Gems and jewelry, textiles, leather, footwear, plastics, sports goods, furniture, agriculture, and many such labor intensive sectors. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe there is an immense potential for further strengthening and diversifying the India-UAE bilateral trade relations. But you all have a lot to contribute towards this, because our relationship with UAE is not just important from an economic perspective, but also from the strategic point of view. We also have concluded another very important economic cooperation and trade agreement with Australia, which is the first trade agreement after more than a decade that India has been able to conclude with a developed country. And this is a very important achievement because this is like a signal that we give to the rest of the developed countries, because with a lot of them, like EU, like UK, we are in the process of negotiation, and few of them may be concluded by the end of this year itself. So whether it is UK, it is Canada or EU, we have given them a big message and a big signal, and India is going forward with negotiating with the other developed countries as well. Australia also is our 7th largest trading partner, and India is the 9th largest trading partner. And with the signing of this agreement, the bilateral trade, which stands today as $27.5 billion, is expected to grow to about $45 to $50 billion in the next 5 years, which will be a huge jump. And the labor-intensive sectors are again going to benefit: the engineering products, textiles and apparels, gems and jewelry, leather footwear, and even pharmaceuticals. So with the world adopting a source diversification strategy, we can also say that Australia will see India as a source alternative insofar as the scope of procuring the Indian products is concerned. And there will be an additional employment generation, close to 1 million. And also the 7 lakh Indian diaspora living in Australia will see an enhancement of employment opportunities, and this will also lead to a growth in the remittances back to India. So ladies and gentlemen, with these two back-to-back agreements, we have been able to set an example for the world. There is a great deal of effort which has gone from both sides of the negotiating teams, whether it was India, UAE or India, Australia. A lot of effort which was made in finalizing these two agreements. I would like to congratulate both the negotiating teams, and I would also like to extend my gratitude towards the leadership of our partner nations for extending their deep sense of commitment and cooperation to the negotiating teams, without which this would not have been possible. And we have fulfilled our promise of taking our bilateral relationships to the next level. But now there is a huge expectation from you. It is up to you to make use of this big opportunity. We can only encourage you and show you the way. There is a tremendous untapped potential which lies in the complementary business ecosystems of both our partner countries, whether it is India, UAE or it is India, Australia. But it is still waiting to be tapped, and it is for you to make use of the opportunity. We at our level at Ministry of Commerce and Industry, we have tried to provide you the best of environment insofar as the friendliness towards industry is concerned. So many of our reforms and initiatives have been in this direction, whether it is in terms of providing policy support to our industry, reducing the burden of compliances, the PLI scheme in 14 sectors, the Prime Minister Gati Shakti initiative to improve the logistic efficiency, or many such other initiatives which we have taken from time to time to make sure that India becomes the next generation ready, the new age economy. But now the onus lies on you, and we want you to come forward. I am very glad that throughout the panel discussions you have shown a lot of optimism, and you are well versed with the scope of the two agreements, the two FTAs that we have concluded. And I'm very hopeful also that you will be able to now make use of this opportunity. You will be able to interact with your counterparts in the two countries, and you will contribute towards the big vision of creating an Atmanirbhar Bharat. Today, we are in a state that contributes a lot to India's exports. We are in Tamil Nadu, which is the biggest contributor to country's exports of apparel and clothing. In the year 2019-20, Tamil Nadu's contribution to apparel and clothing exports has been close to 58%. Similarly, in the footwear sector, the state has made a huge contribution of 44% to India's total exports. I would also like to congratulate the government of Tamil Nadu for specially crafting out their export promotion strategy 2021 and also identifying textiles and leather as the champion sector. The government has also undertaken various measures to improve the ease of logistics insofar as exports are concerned. Export hubs have also been created, and the development of economic employment enclaves is also being executed by the state government of Tamil Nadu. All these initiatives which the state government has taken are praiseworthy. We at Government of India believe in a collaborative effort. Our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji often speaks of whole of government approach. We have to work together, all the stakeholders, whether it is Government of India or it is Government of the state of Tamil Nadu, our stakeholders, our exporter communities, our industry representatives, EPCs, all of us have to make a collective effort so that our share in the global exports, which currently is only 2%, we are able to increase it. And this can only happen when we walk hand in hand. So I appreciate the efforts that the state government is making, and I would urge and appeal to all of you to ensure that we work together and we are able to fulfill this big vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, which cannot be realized unless we all decide to work in harmony with each other. Ladies and gentlemen, the central government has also formulated very important schemes like the Integrated Textiles Park Technology, upgradation and integrated development of the leather sector. All this is to further the objective of making India as an export hub for textiles. My ministry and officials are always ready to assist you and handhold you through the processes and procedures and explain you the nuts and bolts and scope of the agreement and also help you showcase your products in the international markets. I'm happy to inform you that we are also supporting the Federation of the Tamil Nadu Chambers of Commerce and Industry in organizing training programs on the export and import management in 3 cities of the state. So lastly, to conclude, I would once again urge all of you to leverage this conducive platform which has been created with these path-breaking agreements and step up, get into action, and help us build a new India.